Lindsay Partridge, and we are here at the Parelli Campus in Florida. And this is Ellie. She's a 3-star Parelli Professional that was just kind enough to do a Liberty and online lesson with Kahleesi and I. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do here?
Yeah, so like you said, I'm a 3-star Parelli Professional, so I teach courses here on campus, and I'm also Pat Parelli's protege and his barn manager. So whenever we have students come study with Pat for a longer period of time, I set them up for success and make sure they have the best learning experience possible. And then you might know that Pat has a handicapped son. His name is Caton, and we all, as a team, try to keep him, as Pat says, busy, alive, and progressing.
That's great. And about how many years have you been doing Parelli?
That's been 12 years.
Wow, long time. Lots of learning in there to share.
Yeah, especially in the last 5 years since I've been here on campus and gotten to learn from Pat and Linda Parelli directly.
That's fantastic. And from our lesson today, is there any sort of key tip that you'd like to share with everybody?
Yes, actually, usually in lessons there's not a lot of time to talk about horse psychology, and you end up teaching more of the techniques, but you, Lindsay, have got all of the techniques down pat, pun intended. So we really were able to talk about horse psychology more and about energy and intention, which I think is a really important ingredient as you progress on your journey to becoming a horseman. So something that I'd really like to focus on with students is the difference between rhythmic motion and rhythmic pressure, especially as it relates to energy. So can you have a lot of motion, rhythmic motion in your tools, but not have that affect your energy? And teach your horse to read that and know and learn your intention behind what you're asking him to do.
Yeah, that was really helpful. And actually one of the things that I did was I was visualizing creamsicles to keep my energy really soft when I was doing different things, driving out or drawing her in, so that way I wouldn't be having a lot of fire in my belly, as you were saying, so that way she wouldn't not want to come in or feel too much drive. So that was a lot of fun, a lot of great learning, a lot of other tips. So what we're going to do is show you some of that footage from the lesson, and you can take a sneak peek into what it's like to have a lesson at the Parelli campus. So thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you later. Okay, so this is a little look at getting started with our lesson at the Parelli campus, and I was doing some Liberty circles, and that was really one of the main goals of my lesson, was to improve the circle game. And this is one of the things that I'm working at for my level 4 in Parelli, is the Cantor Liberty circles. So I just sort of started off with some circles around the rail, and there you can see I've got a nice draw asking her to come in, a nice canter coming in, great motivation, and just sort of getting a feel for things. And then Ellie had me do an exercise of simply getting Kahleesi to lower her head and encourage a position of relaxation. And I loved this and wanted to include it for you guys because it is such a simple and basic exercise, but so powerful with your horse. And you can see when I'm first starting to put her head down, she is popping her head right back up. But then as I keep asking her to lower her head and have a position of relaxation, she starts to lick and chew, and she starts to put a little bit more bend and relaxation in her body, and she starts to hold the position a little bit more. There you can see a nice big lick and chew from her. And so I'm constantly sort of putting her back into a position of relaxation, and every time I do that, she's just getting softer through her body and through her mind. So it's a really great exercise to do with them. And I really like, going over the different basics and foundations. So here's a little look at, we were taking a little look at our other games. Here's a little bit of sideways. So even though my goal was Liberty circles and to improve my canter, still remembering that we have to check in with the other pieces of our language so that we've got great understanding with our horse. And then here's a little look at why that's important, the little sideways in there, because then when I'm doing this Liberty circle, I need to make sure that I have a cue or a way to ask her to move her ribs out and ask her to stay soft through her body. So here's another little look at the Liberty circles, and you can see for the most part she's got a nice shape in her body. And then asking her to come in, and then a little look of change of direction. And there you can see she was pushing her shoulder into me a little bit, so I do have to be aware of that, and that's where sideways can come in really handy, as I can push her rib cage out a little bit. So you can see there she's a little bit bent to the outside on the circle. Her nose is a little tipped to the outside. This a little bit of a stiff way for her. So we're working on trying to get her to connect there. And every so often she kept doing these spins. She was like, come on, circles are boring. Let me do a spin instead. So I had to work with her a little bit to remind her that no, we can do other things and let's go back to that circle game. So we were playing with this a little bit and just trying to get her nice and soft and asking her to stretch and get more relaxed in her body language. And when it comes to Cantor, she's very, very stiff in her body. So we wanted to work on her flexion and her stretching. So we put her on a longer line to give her more space. And here I thought this was a little bit funny. She draws in so fast that I couldn't collect my rope in time, and so I just tossed the rope aside. So I thought you guys would get a kick out of that. So here's a little bit more Cantor work. So what I was trying to do with Ellie's help here was push her zone 3 out, because she really tends to put an awkward bend in her body and likes to carry herself really, really awkwardly. And it's something that she's been doing for a long time because her front right hoof is actually kind of clubby from not distributing the weight evenly. And when I first got her, she would only cross canter. She would very rarely canter full strides on the circle. So now she's doing a lot better, but still something that I have to work on is trying to get her to bend around me on the circle. So we were working with pushing her midsection, her ribs out while on the circle. We also tried some reverse psychology where I actually told her to keep her nose out on the rail, so that way hopefully she would think to bring her nose into the rail, kind of like a, hey, do that more, do that more, do that more, and make her realize that it was uncomfortable. And that worked pretty nicely too. So you can see, you know, lots of head up, lots of awkwardness, and this is a little bit later now, some footage. And you can see she's starting to bring her nose in, starting to stretch down. So I just asked for little pieces, and then I was bringing her in to reward her. One of the other exercises that she had me doing was a shaping circle, and being really particular about that inside hind foot coming up underneath her outside front foot, and just trying to get her to have a really good posture and balance in her body. And she was telling me to be more particular, that it was okay to ask more of my horse, which I thought was a bit of a compliment, that Ellie felt like we had all of our basics down pat really well, and that I could start to get really more demanding with her and how she was using her body. So we were working a little bit on that. And then as our final last exercise, she was showing me something really neat about using the stick on her belly to try to get her to lift her belly that way. So that was fun too, and you can see her stretching there. So thanks for watching, guys.